Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the modern market, where every day we discuss everything to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to hopefully make some or a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up for discussion today, we have MegaETH announcing 10,000 ETH raised via an NFT sale for whitelisted wallets. Very grateful to have Bread himself to break that down a little bit towards the end of the show today. We're going to hold that back, so I know a lot of people want to know those details. We've also got Bera Chain announcing yesterday their mainnet is live on February the 6th, which is tomorrow. TGE will be on the same day. Very excited for the Bears. And also, in other interesting news, Helium announced their first free phone plan in the US and cloud points in exchange for your anonymized data. Thought that was very cool use case there. We've also got the latest on price action on crypto and NFTs, a bit of a general discussion on some of the latest political developments on the state side. So stay tuned for that. Today, I've got Legendary as a co-host with me. I've got Bread, and we also have Dith with us in the co-host seat. Delighted to say that we have Dith with us, Head of Business Development at Pirate Nation and Proof of Play. We're delighted to say we're partnering with them on a multi-month basis. More information on that to come. Can't wait to share more about Proof of Play over the course of next weeks and months. But before we get into the rest of the stuff, before we speak to the co-host in a bit more detail, just a reminder, friends, nothing that we do or say here is financial advice. This market is very, very risky. We don't know anything for sure. So please proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Dith, welcome to the stage with us. Great to have you with us. We've been chatting for some time. I know you and Bread go back a little bit longer. Great to have you with us. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling great. Like what a start to the year it's been, right? But yeah, super glad to kick this off. Long time coming, and yeah, we're gonna have fun. Yeah, as you mentioned, like Bread and I, we go back. We share PTSD from the friend tech days.
Trauma bonding.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah,
great.
Yeah, great to be here.
Great friends were made in the friend tech trenches.
Yeah, you had to be there. It was one of those, like, you had to be there to like truly understand. You know that meme with the Vietnam cat?
Yeah.
One of those.
It's just like, I just look back at a old "Oh Sweet Summer Child," how hopeful we were. Like there was something there, and
man, the ideas we had. Yeah, what could have been. It's about the friendships we made along the way, ultimately, right? Right, boys?
It actually is. It's one of those cases
truly,
where...
yeah. I have some really, really strong connections from there. Like I went to Singapore. I met up with all the guys like that I met from. I'm still in group chats from those days. Ethos, right? Ethos, the network just came out. Like I know those people because of that. We're going to talk about the MegaETH stuff. Like
we're going to talk about what CBB is up to. I met him on FriendTech. Yeah. Can't put a price on that shit.
There we go, guys. It's not just about the profit. As much as people would like to have you think it is not. And this is evidence of it. Delighted that we're making this happen. Bread, how are you doing? Said a little low on the sleep. Big announcement yesterday, and looked excited to get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, we've actually had two since Monday, right? I was here on Monday. Monday after the show, we announced testnet in 30 days.
Yes.
So I mean, that's on the way. So I had a little road tour for that. I now have the pink background to kind of match I shifted from the purple of modern market to match the pink of testnet for the celebration.
Okay.
But yeah, and then had the big announcement yesterday, and it's I have not been able to clear my notifications. We'll say that. I don't know that I will be able to in the next 7 days.
Very helpfully, I can see a lot of people who are posting on the timeline about it. I know Whale did a post earlier. Whale's in the audience with us. I've designed, so just so people know, the MegaETH segment will be towards the end of the show. You got to stick around for it. I've designed it. I went through all of the comments, Brad, to the post, and I've tried to group together some of the ones. I tried to not discriminate. If there were stupid comments, I've included them, but there are some like legit questions and concerns as well. So I did not discriminate. I'm going to put them together, give you a chance to address them, and hopefully give you a chance to give the TLDR, the lowdown. Some people don't like reading. You gave a link so that people can go and read more stuff about it. This is going to be their chance to get the full set of information. Excited for that. Now, before we get into the roundup, Legendary, want to check in with you. How are you doing? How are you feeling your side?
I'm doing quite well. Specifically excited for the MegaETH discussion. I have a couple hot takes on that as well. It's very entertaining, but I also have to say your notification spread have to be insane. You have people supporting you, you have people yelling at you, you have people begging for whitelists. On the positive side of that, your YAP counter is gonna go up insanely over the next couple of days as a result of that.
Legendary's always got the YAP counter ticking
The
over.
bar's set high because Eric Trump gave me like 700 in like the last 24 hours. So yeah.
No way. Okay. Well, always keeping the yaps in the back of the mind. We do like to keep.
What did you tweet at Eric?
I didn't tweet anything at him necessarily. He did the tweet about buying ETH the other day, and that day, World Liberty Fi transferred $175 million of ETH worth to Coinbase Prime, which is always like the FUD of like you're sending it to the exchange to sell it. So he literally did that over 6 hours and then tweeted like time to buy ETH. So I just tweeted that. The post got like 1.6 million views. Like the thing blew up. So like
he's doing it right.
Yeah. And like who knows? Like he could have been staking, he could have been whatever, but like not a good look.
Yeah. Damn.
The best crypto KOL coming for all of our spots. Imagine the Trumps on the Yap. Legendary, you like picking up these referrals. Try and get the Trump family on. That'll do you well. Right, let's get into it, guys. To all the key information. Start with the roundup as usual, starting with the price action of the majors. We've got Bitcoin up 4%. It's at $99,000. Sold off a little bit after the Sachs non-event yesterday, the meeting. But it's kind of come back. ETH is up almost 7%. That's good to see. 2.7K. XRP is also up 10% to $2.60. Solana is down 1% to $208. Getting into the meme coins side of things, we have Doge, which is flat around 26 cents. We've got Pepe up 1%. We've got SHIB up 5%. Trump is up 12% to $19. Obviously, very, very far down from its highs. We've got WIF up 10% to 80 cents. Pengu's up another 4%. I'm trying to find some other standout ones here. AI16Z is flat on the AI side. Toshi's down 10% on the base side. Let's check in with our favorite purple frog. AIXBT is up 3% to 32 cents. So kind of a bit random across the board there. No specific trends that I'm seeing. Some are up, some are down. Nothing huge to report there necessarily. Getting into the main headlines themselves, if you're just joining us, MegaETH have announced 10,000 ETH raised via NFT sale for whitelisted wallets. We're going to breaking that all down for everything you need to know in the final segment of the show today, probably in about 30 minutes or so. We've got Bera Chain announcing mainnet live on February the 6th, which is tomorrow, and it will be TGE as well. Very curious to see what valuation they come out. I think Legendary is going to share some predictions, some thoughts. I've got some thoughts on that as well, given that I'm a liquidity provider there. And then finally, Helium announced first free phone plan in US and cloud points in exchange for your anonymized data. Good to see some actual businesses being built in crypto. It's not all Ponzi's and pump funds. Some notable sales from around the space: CryptoPunk 3D glasses, red hair sold for 88 ETH, and some other big CryptoPunk sales in all of the madness of the last few weeks and months. CryptoPunks are pretty strong. That 40 ETH-ish floor is holding pretty well. I think it might have dipped down to maybe 37, 38, but doing pretty strong there. Legendary, what else is going on the NFT side?
Yeah, NFT market is interesting to look at today. If you look at the ETH side of things, the mainnet side of things, it's pretty boring. Bored Apes basically are flat, down 0.5%, 12.69 ETH floor for the apes. Pudgies up 1%, 10.77 ETH floor for the Pudgies. Miladies are down 0.8%, 4.81 ETH floor. Doodles up almost 2%, 3.94 ETH floor. Azuki's up 1%, still under 3 ETH at 2.96 ETH floor. However, if you take a look at the Bera side of things, we have the Boo Bears up 16% at the 47 ETH floor. We have the Band Bears up 3% over the last 24 hours, 13% over the last 7 days, 12 ETH floor for them. Whale had a post on that. I mean, we're going to get more into the Bera stuff late in the show either way. But the interesting thing from the from the NFT side specifically was that there is these 5 collections that will be eligible for an airdrop as well. And if you add them together, their aggregated market cap actually puts them in the global top 10 of NFT projects.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Good investigation by Whale. Appreciate that. Whale, thanks for that update. Legendary, getting into the Web3 Roundup to get you up to with everything else around the market. Before we get into the main headlines today, we've got the official Enron token launching. This was weird. Over the course of one phone call that I was on yesterday, I missed the launch, missed it running to 700, and it was already back to 150 million. Showing that this market is very, very aggressively pumping stuff and then dumping it straight away. Really, really fast moving. Bullish, the global crypto exchange backed by Peter Thiel considers an IPO as well. That was reported by Bloomberg. Eigenlayer announces verifiable agents on Eigenlayer. So this agentic stuff is kind of taking place across various, across everywhere, basically. In terms of stablecoins, $1 billion of stablecoins been minted on Tron by Tether in the last day. Circle minted 250 million in new USDC on the Solana network. We've been speaking on the show recently about the huge numbers of stablecoins that are coming on chain at the moment and that are existing on chain, which is kind of indicative to a lot of people. A lot of people are reading into that by saying like, look, this is last time when we crashed and everything disappeared, those numbers went down hard because people were exiting. That does not seem to be the case even after those crazy liquidations that we had just a couple of days ago. In some other news, the SEC launches its crypto task force site. And it's kind of paired with the SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce, coming out with a variety of notes in this kind of article that she wrote. One point of which was, if people want to buy tokens or products that lack a clear long-term value prop, they should be free to do so. But they should not be surprised if someday the price drops. That's a nice bit of context. Base announced it is building Farcaster feed into Coinbase wallets to tap into 800,000 ETH users on Farcaster. That's interesting. It's been a bit quiet on the Farcaster side for us, at least for a while. And then big news coming for Taproot Wizards. They announced a $30 million Series A round. Quantum Cats is probably the one ordinal collection which has held up the whole time, I suspect, because they know that there's this round and they're going to get a token at some point in time. That would be my thinking there. Anyway, I think they're still like 0.2 BTC or something in that region, whereas a lot of the other ordinals have pulled back aggressively. So that's the rest of the roundup. Legendary, coming to you first. We'll go around the table here. Before we get into the main headlines today, anything specifically catching your attention?
Yeah, I definitely liked Hester Pierce's comment. As you perfectly said, if you want to buy a token or product that lacks a clear long-term value proposition, they should be free to buy that, but shouldn't be surprised if the price drops. I think some people took that as another incentive to reinforce and double down on the crime season and pump the fun season. But per se, I do like that statement a lot because it obviously allows for way more token launches and takes out a lot of pressure. But I think we're going to get more into the regulatory stuff either way as part of the discussion section.
Yeah, we will do. I would be really curious, Dith, as you're kind of building out Proof of Play and Pirate Nation, how these regulatory changes are affecting you guys, how you're thinking about it strategically. Has it had much effect? What's the strategy there?
I mean, it certainly has for us. And for like almost every other team I know. Things are kind of like moving quite quickly, right? Like every other day, there's like a new piece of news, and like this new picture is kind of forming in real time. But like largely speaking, like day and night difference, right, between what we had just a few months ago pre-election and what we're looking at today. Hester's article like got sent around like every group that I'm in, and there was like flurry of discussion around it. I think the paragraph you call out, Legendary, is like it is particularly kind of cool because it like leans into like classic libertarian style values of like DYOR, it's your money, it's your call. Don't literally, I think it's written like don't come. Yeah. People must decide for themselves, not look to mama government to tell them what to do or what not to do, not to bail them out when they do something that turns out badly. So, being someone who's like always believed in this, like, it's your keys, it's your wallet, it's your call, sort of approach to crypto, like I personally vibe with that. The flip side though is, as you say, that gives the green light to what we're kind of already seeing, which is like every asshat coming out of the woodworks wanting to launch a coin, and they like obviously don't really care about crypto. They're not going to give back to this space, and they're just looking for a quick extraction. So I think all around, like it's going to be busy, messy, more entertaining, and more crazy than we've already seen. But coming back to, you know, stuff on the regulatory side, like, yeah, very, very interesting. New rules are forming in real time, so we keep a close eye, and it does affect strategy.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's definitely the case. I think people very, very quickly got over the instinctive glee that, you know, I think there's like a deep exhaling in the industry, like, right, we're not kind of going to be persecuted necessarily, but then very quickly people realized, like, oh, hang on, wait, that means that there's just going to be things every 24 hours, 48 hours, and now everyone is in competition in that attention cycle with whatever other new thing that is going to come and basically steal the attention from the people who've been here building for longer periods of time. And now it's kind of vulnerable to these new things that feel like they've been given the green light to go ahead. So really interesting tension, as you say. I think we've been speaking about that too. Kind of hard mode in some ways, in that respect. But yeah, we'll touch in with the David Sachs meeting in a second. I think Legendary will be able to actually share that. Brett, just coming to you first. What are your thoughts either on this? Anything else catching your attention in the market? Anything we've missed?
No, I just love it. I actually heard some comments yesterday about the refreshing vibes coming out of America again, and like the actual like revitalization of American founders, like that have actually moved out, right? The Naveen, right, this guy founder Atari, he was on Space yesterday. He's been in Dubai doing like business stuff the last few days, and he's just like going around talking to people, meeting. They're like, people are wanting to move back to America to like actually be able to build in America, because they've been wanting to do that, but they've been kind of felt like they've had been ushered out the last, you know, X amount of years. So yeah, I even find the same with us, right? Like we're launching a chain, we have products like launching on the chain, founders we're incubating that are in America, and like I realized, I thought I kind of got dissuaded of like being proud of being an American, like wanting to do this kind of stuff and rah nationality, whatever. But we have founders that are like, yeah, built in America. And like, that kind of feels, I forgot that felt good. Like it's been so long since I've done that or had that feeling, that it's kind of cool. It's refreshing.
I like it. Makes a lot of sense. Wondered if we've got Stats on stage with us as well. Sam, welcome to the stage, my friend. Be curious to get your thoughts. You know, we'd like to check in with you with the stuff going on in stateside and your thoughts on how things keep developing. As you said, like every 24 hours, every 48 hours is like another jolt, maybe taking us in a slightly different direction or some kind of surprise. How are you seeing things at the moment?
I mean, sorry, I got a bit of a cold. I mean, I think on the one hand, yeah, you're getting all these, it opens the door for more Enron tokens, but it also is basically, I think, saying people who do the things like what Ben.ETH do, you know, Kevin Rose, everyone's favorite person, it's just making it easier. It's basically saying that's okay. And that is, you know, and I think that's a very reasonable take. Like, buyer beware. If you sent the ETH, if you sent the money, you're the one who deserves to get fucked. I think stuff like that, you know, it greenlights that a little bit more. I think the other side is, you know, I've seen a lot of founders, not a lot of founders, but I would think of like Blur, where they were trying to buy their own token ahead of their blast announcement. They had obvious insider information. You know, the token went from 20 cents to 75 cents in like a week. And there's nothing in the regulation that says that there's anything wrong with the founder who has very real information buying ahead of that, because it's not a security. You're not going to get come after. You know, I think a lot of the behavior we really don't like, there's just a conflict on the timeline of one hating all regulation, but also really like what I sense is like a real deep dislike and wishing it were not there for a lot of the scamming. And not even always scamming, sometimes just like taking advantage of insider information, which I would say is a scam, but it's not as blatant as like what Ben.ETH does. But these are the things that we are also now giving more of a green light to. And I think that's the other counter to what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's a very real, something very real that, yeah, we're trying to deal with. And as you say, feeling like that's been given the green light a little bit. Getting into and unfortunately, I don't think that's one of the things that's necessarily being addressed, or at least not immediately, as part of this kind of new swathe of regulations. Yesterday we had the meeting that was like really everyone was super excited about. David Sachs was the chief, what's his name, the AI and crypto czar, was due to give this kind of speech setting out what they intend to do as part of this crypto working group. In the end, in practice, I think people were kind of disappointed with the outcome. I don't know what people were necessarily expecting. I don't think anyone reasonable would have thought they're coming out to say that we are going to be buying Bitcoin tomorrow or anything else. But it was kind of just a formalization of these are the things we're going to do. These are the things, you know, we will be looking to review the Bitcoin reserve. We'll be, I think, and then specifically they kind of mentioned stable coins. I think they're very, very big on stable coins. I think they see that as a way to extend US power across the globe via stable coins. So they want clear regulations for that, clear regulations for companies. That was the core focus. Legendary, I know you had something to come in on this. Like, any further reflections there on that kind of, I guess, brief meeting yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the market traded a bit negatively on that, probably expecting, I don't know, David Sachs pulling up his Photon wallet and trading on stage during the press conference. But the Bitcoin, the strategic reserve was mentioned. Let's see if we can quickly play this clip from YouTube.
No, we don't have the audio.
All right. Yeah, then I'll just summarize that. So there was a bit of an AMA after the actual press conference, and David Sachs was asked, what about the Bitcoin strategic reserve? What about Bitcoin as part of the sovereign wealth fund? And he was saying that Bitcoin strategic reserve is something that they're looking at basically ASAP to see if that is feasible. But that is for Bitcoin in the Bitcoin strategic reserve. For the sovereign wealth fund, that is a different topic, and that's obviously not for him to look into. That is something for Howard Lutnick to look into, who we also had mentioned on the show yesterday as part of that executive order that was signed.
Yeah, that was an interesting point. Just around the corner, like, no, I don't know if anyone's got specific expertise in this. Dith, any instinct on strategic reserve versus sovereign wealth fund? Do you like one more than the other? Do you think crypto will end up in one more than the other based on any kind of news you've been digesting?
Yeah, so not an economist, right? But my high level sort of take here is, I think, strategic reserve can be like the ultimate hedge and bargaining chip against the dollar, right? Like, if they think about their international strategy and how they keep the dollar strong, it's actually like an awesome play there if they're sitting on a strategic national Bitcoin reserve. So I think, if I were president or I were involved in that process, I'd go for it. I mean, they should have done this a long time ago, right? It just so happens now it's like they're listening to like the right people and like, okay, this thing's on the table. But yeah, if you think about like long-term international strategy, like having a strategic national reserve, it's a really, really strong bargaining chip against anyone who essentially tries to mess with the dollar. And then sovereign wealth fund, I mean, I don't think it's one or the other. Like, why not both, right?
Yeah.
Like it kind of fulfills a different set of objectives, I think. And it just like gives him a lot of, like, what we're seeing the government already do, right? In this like first few weeks is like, they're going hard on like international negotiations and tariffs. And this gives them like a very different kind of lever where they can, okay, we got carrot and stick here. Stick is the tariffs and carrots can be the sovereign wealth fund, where we come in, we invest in foreign technology, infrastructure, real estate, whatever, like however it ends up taking form. And there's like a number of countries that have done this really, really well, right? And allows them to kind of like, it's just like a really good negotiating chip. So Why not both?
Dith, I'm happy to inform you, you've been a part of CT long enough that you actually are able to comment on macro and also NFTs.
I was an AI expert 2 months ago.
Yeah, you can be an economist today. That's valid.
Very true.
I mean, it sounded smart to me. I thought one of the ways that Trump was going to extend his power globally was via the Trump coin. I thought that was the thing that CT thought was going to be the extension of.
Imagine if you just went every meeting with every world leader. He's like, I need you to buy a bag of Trump. All right. Shaking their hand. Like, you want to get this other deal done? Like, buy Trump.
We can do it informally.
It's a good intermediary step, right? Before you do the Bitcoin thing, I know that's a big commitment. Just buy my Trump bag.
Yeah, I only have 80% of the supply.
We'll take it step by step. Well, fortunately, we've got our resident Bitcoin expert with us as well. Funky, give us your take here on the general kind of political movements last couple of days and the meeting yesterday before we get into the main headlines in just a moment.
Thanks so much, B. I mean, I don't know about being an expert. I was really putting on the U.S. political correspondent hat here.
Oh, okay, okay.
Something I shared with Legendary I was answering him yesterday. I was at an event, a digital asset summit, very exclusive, about 60, 70 people, some pretty high-powered people like CEOs, lots of stuff like that. One guy, and I'm not even going to say his name, but basically he was saying that he's been involved in multiple discussions with states on helping them kind of craft their idea for the strategic Bitcoin reserve at the state level, knowing the executive order specifically was broadly about digital assets. And I couldn't tell if he was speculating or if he had some sort of inside knowledge here, because this guy's been in Bitcoin since 2012. He seems to be in all the right places, talking to all the right people. And he said, I could see where this would be a strategic Bitcoin reserve would be one thing, because you just want to accumulate, you don't want to sell. And that the digital asset part of it would be in the sovereign wealth fund, specifically with a focus on the tokens that are quote unquote made in USA. And he specifically said Solana and Sui as two examples of this. I'm not saying not financial advice, don't go out and buy Sol and Sui, but like he said, because the sovereign wealth fund would be liquid assets, things that could be moved in and out. He's like, you don't necessarily have to keep them, but you could just kind of have a stockpile that you could buy and sell and move that around. Whereas the strategic Bitcoin reserve should be just about accumulating and hanging on to that. So it was interesting hearing him say that during a fireside panel chat.
Yeah, I definitely heard that word being used when for the wealth fund. It was like it needs to be more liquid. Although I guess Bitcoin's pretty liquid as well, though. So I don't know. Well, either way, appreciate the additional insight there, Funky. Let's keep it moving. We want to get into the main headlines for the day, just so people get a sense of what we're doing. Brad, I think we're going to do Helium for like 5 minutes tops. Then we want to do Bera Chain for 5 minutes tops, Ledge, and then we want to give like a good 15 minutes towards the end, I think, for MegaETH, because I think that's the big headline.
Yeah,
of the
we'll
day.
let it breathe.
So, yeah, let's design it like that.
I'll speed run this one. So it's pretty simple. So Helium Mobile, for people who don't know where that, Helium is a DPIN project that's on Solana, right? It's a way to use these, or basically use your phone as a consumer device that actually contributes to a network and try to grow this network in a way that you help them map out the area, whatever. They just announced a plan that's actually $0. It comes with two other ones, but the main one is this zero plan. It basically lets you get 3 gigs of data, 300 texts, 100 minutes of phone calls for free in exchange for what they're calling cloud points that can be exchanged in the cloud store. And it's basically just a way for them to incentivize growing their network, right? And that's, they don't say it explicitly here, but like in the verbiage, it kind of reads this way, that they will give you the free plan if you do the cloud points, like optionally give away your data anonymously, so that they know which areas of the network they need to map out more, right? They need to get deals in, they need to improve through their little Helium pods, whatever, to extend the network. And then for the other two plans, which are also cheap, I actually had one of these last year. I've been just on a secondary phone, just had it sit there and farming stuff to help, like carry it around with me to map. You can actually do it with double SIM, so like you can just have it on your main phone and have it going in the background. But the other two plans are also cheap, and it leverages like traditional 5G networks. So it's not just Helium bootstrapping this stuff. They actually partner with places like Sprint and a few other places. The other two plans, like $15 and $30, they come with unlimited either text calls or everything. and the cloud stuff is optional. So I think that's just the main differentiator, is that you get the free plan. It's pretty minimal, right? 300 texts, like that's not a lot if you're someone eating a bunch of them. But it's free, and you have to give up your anonymous data to help map out the network. The other two, you pay a little bit of money, still cheaper than most modern plans, and then you have the option of also doing the cloud point stuff, which it's redeemable in the store for like Amazon gift cards and shit. So it's just fun to see these the DePIN category, frankly, continue to expand and continue to show success. Like that's one of the few things in this world, or this ecosystem, that I see like there's actual, if it can work big kind of thing. But like to get to the threshold where you can push out incumbents, like Hive Mapper is trying to push out Google Maps, right? Like if you can actually have incentivize people to map out specific roads because someone is willing to pay for it, like that's hugely valuable. But Google's not going to give up that shit quickly, right? Everyone tying into the Google API, spending a bunch of money, like that's a good revenue generator for them. So it's all of these things are in this position of it's clear market fit. It's hugely valuable to unseat the incumbents, whether it's a mobile network or whether it's Google or whether it's whatever, is hugely ambitious. Not going to be easy, but if you can achieve it through network effects, through people contributing to this broader network, then yeah, you can potentially crush.
That reminds me actually of one of, I think, the most fascinating stories in the telco industry, just the industry I used to do consulting in, and that was Jio in India. And the Indian telco market before Jio, before 2016, was extremely fragmented, super expensive. Data was extremely expensive. There were basically no like unlimited call packages. You were paying per minute. And then Jio with Mukesh Ambani, India's richest person, came along, invested more than 30 billion, and basically did one thing: unlimited data, unlimited calls for everyone. Everyone was like saying this guy is utterly crazy, because he also built the infrastructure to get good coverage across all of India, onboarded 100 million users in like roughly half a year. And basically as a result of that, almost all the other telco providers either had to merge, go out of business, depend on government subsidies, and he took over the entire market. So it is a strategy that kind of, obviously the way smaller scale, but reminded me of that on how to attack a market that has strong incumbents.
Yeah, I would say this, telcos kind of fit into this set of like business verticals that everyone hates, right? Like telcos, banks, and insurance companies are like universally disliked. And what I like about this approach Helium's taking is this like break free from big telco. It's like this classic, like, hey, we're here to disrupt this like broken archaic system, right? So I'll be interested to see how that lands.
Yeah, I think at the heart of this is all about data, right? And I think people have been incredibly, or at least for a long period of time, these companies were profiting off individuals or customer data for a long period of time. I think obviously people have become more educated about that, got far more protective over their personal data. And there's really interesting things going on in crypto now, where it's like trying to anonymize the data, help you take ownership of it a little better as well. Brad, you shared Nilian with me recently. I was looking into that. They launched an awesome video the other day where they're talking about like allowing your agent, the agent that becomes the agent that you're going to kind of interact with all the time, it's kind of structuring your data in 3 tiers, one of which is like super, you don't care about it, who cares. Second is maybe like a little bit more personal, where you probably let it go. And then there's this like tier 3. And I think everyone's got certain data that it starts to get more personal, more private. And the question is like, how do we how do we interact with these agents and give that data and have the trust? And I think that's the big question. Like, will we be able to trust them properly? And the companies that can win that trust, I think will do particularly well. I don't know if we need to have any more further reflections there. Interesting conversation around data, but let's just keep it moving then, because we've got a bunch of other important stuff to get into. We've got the Bera chain information, legendary. Bera chain's going to TGE, kind of came out of nowhere. Q5 is officially here.
Yeah, Q5 is here. Bera chain is going to launch tomorrow, February 6th. Also, as a part of that, as you said, TGE will occur at the same time as the mainnet launch. In terms of the potential valuation, to get into that, luckily, there is a poly market bet for that. Doesn't have a lot of volume. Let me quickly refresh that. It's only 30K volume on that, but I bet it will get more volume over the course of the day. And the bet is with the question, which I'm sharing on screen, Bera Chain market cap, FTV 1 day after launch. I did double check. They do refer to the FTV. And we currently see that 32%, which is the biggest segment of people, believe it's going to come out between 3 and 5 bill, 18% under 3 bill, 14, 5 to 7 bill, and 17%, 7 to 10 bill, 17, and another 17% in the 10 to 15 bill range. Again, that's off very low numbers. There's only 30K volume total in that bet, but it was definitely interesting to see those stats. Also, just as a reminder, the last series that Bera Chain had raised was the Series B. That was April last year, 100 mil at a $420 million dollar valuation. And another point, and that was also more in terms of the L2 discussion that Rodo, who's also a long-time listener of the show, was making. That was more in a MegaETH related discussion, was taking a look at how L2s are doing right now and how their price action has been strongly down since the start of the year, even over the last year. That there's currently only 6 L2s with a market cap of over 550 mil. That's on the one hand, again, that's like very specific to the nature, to the state of L2s in their market. On that side, on the other side, we've been reporting on the Bera Chain pre deposits hitting $3 billion valuation. So that's definitely a lot of capital, a lot of interest flowing there. And
3 bill TVL.
Yeah, sorry, not valuation. 3 bill TVL hitting those vaults. And what I'm definitely curious to see is how much volume, this poly market bet will get. Again, slow, little volume now, but I do think it's an interesting indicator already.
What's Hyperliquid sitting at these days? Like last L1 to launch, right? Meaningful, or novel, I guess I should say.
Hyperliquid is actually up again. It's at $26, 26.5 bill FTV then.
Nice.
26.5. Pretty significant. Sorry, Dith, did you want to come in?
Nope. Yeah, I really keeping an eye on Bera as well. Like this has been like one of those things that's been bubbling, and the memes have been like on point. So yeah, it's going to be like really interesting to see how it goes.
I'm just ready for curveballs because Smokey and the team, like they're literally born out of like old DeFi head like trenches, right? Like that's where all this stuff originated out of a Discord of doing that stuff. So like these guys have a bunch of mechanisms in their mind of like that they can deploy, I'm sure. So like I don't know. I think we see some weird stuff day one.
I think I
might be real quick. Sorry for interrupting you. You are unmuted on the spaces, and I can't mute you because you're a co-host as well, but we're getting an echo.
Got you. Done. I think, I don't know. What do you think, Legendary? I think 3 to 5 is low. I mean, just think, movement came out at 10 and the chain was not live. So in this case, the chain will be live. Maybe that's a bad thing, having a chain live. Movement has obviously dipped down to 6, I think, the last time I checked, or in that region. I just think it's going to be, if I had to, I think it's going to be more than 5. The chain's got a bear on it. People like the bear. And I think it's coming out higher. What do you think?
I think that 3 to 5 bill range is reasonable. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes higher than that. I obviously know like CBB, because you guys had mentioned him before as part of your friend tech memories. He has accumulated what? Total of $11 million worth of Bera related NFTs to be ready for the launch. So he's definitely well prepared for that.
And he's one of the ones that wrecked me on friend tech though. So I'll always have an asterisk next to that bull posting mofo.
I remember CB Bull. I had some of those too.
I know we need to get into the last line, but one quick side note on that: he's also coming out with a token, which is called Blast.
This is what you had to share.
That is a fun story. So he's coming out with a token called Blast, launching on Bera Chain. Obviously, he's been massively frustrated with where Blast has been going and the valuation, how it didn't sustain the interest that it managed to attract initially. And he is making fun of Blast in every way that he can as part of that token launch on Bera. He says it is a proof of cheat, is a novel economic mechanism that rewards people who have cheated 100% of the Blast airdrop. If you have farmed Blast and cheated 100%, you will get rewarded. Also went on to say that they announced the first KOL airdrop. After 6-month marketing analysis heads down, we are proud to announce that the one and only KOL eligible for the airdrop is Pac-Man. He's going to get 0.5% of the supply airdrop to his wallet. Welcome to Blast with a bear on it. So he is definitely not only having a lot of exposure through his NFTs, but very, very focused to get his Blast token on Bera launched as well.
I've got to say, like, look, that is objectively funny. It's a funny thing that is happening, but the extent to which he has like continued to drive the knife,
yeah,
I feel bad for the Blast team at this point. Like, I know things haven't gone to plan. I know things certain things should have been better, and I don't know the personal interaction, because I know he was providing a hell of a lot of liquidity, and maybe there was other things going on as well. But like,
I think
I feel for the team at this point. Like, yes, okay, it's kind of funny.
It's like impossible to deal with that. But going back to Legendary, what I think you were saying earlier, and talking about like these. Actually, it was Kook, right? Came up and talked about like what founders do and insider moves and so on. I think really what got CBB was that he was approached for an OTC, right, before Blur moved. So, like, evidently it's not let that go. I can understand maybe some of that frustration.
Yeah.
Coming back to the NFT allocation, though, has it been disclosed what these NFTs actually get from the airdrop?
No, the wallet checker and airdrop checker, I think, is supposed to go live later today.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an $11 million gamble then.
Yes, $11 million gamble on some bears.
Bold strategy, Colin.
Bold strategy. Excited to find out. We'll report. We'll report the results of the $11 million bear gamble tomorrow on the show, of course. Look, we've got 11 minutes left of the show. Glad we got through Bera Chain, and we'll look at that again tomorrow. I think that'll be relevant. But we want to do 11 minutes now on MegaETH. Huge announcement yesterday, not allowing Bread to sleep. The notifications going crazy. Bread set. So this is what I want to do. I want you to be able to set it up in the way you want to set it up. Give people the explanation of what it is, how you guys have thought about it, and then I'll come in with some of the questions after that I saw in the comments and give you a chance to speak to them.
Yeah. Okay. So the one thing I'm learning from this is that we were a little verbose in how we communicated it. There's a lot of information. We prepared a lot of stuff. I didn't. The team did, right? So I will just say, so you see 10,000 NFTs used as an extension of basically our initiatives to try to give back to the community, right? We did an echo round a few months ago, $10 million across 3,200 people, 3,200 people. This is another initiative, and that's where you see verbiage in some of these things of like, this is part of a broader initiative, right? We had the echo thing, we have this. We're trying to find as many on-chain, our native ways to get the network in the hands of everyday users, right? People that are in the ecosystem. So for this mechanism, it's 10,000 NFTs in 2 tranches, right? So there's 5,000 that are based on retroactive, because like we don't even have testnet live yet. That's coming in 30 days. So we couldn't do anything based on any kind of activity or anything. So we looked at the ecosystem for people that displayed stuff that we value, right, in the world. And we added them to this list. Some are GitHubs, good contributors to open source software. Some are, have participated in projects that we value or have shown that they're aligned with the ecosystem, whatever. Through the month's list, the 10,000 total NFTs represent 5% of the network at minimum, right? That's like the bare minimum. You can do your own math on that. But we have 2 mechanisms on top of that make it a little interesting, right? So again, it's 5% of network across the 10,000 in 2 tranches, the retroactive now, proactive for the second 5,000. We don't have a date for the second 5,000. And the 2 mechanisms associated with that 5% is that the 5% is elastic, right? It can change based on the NFT actually evolving. The NFTs are also soul-bound, I should say that. So it's non-transferable. And so the 5% is elastic, right? So it starts at a minimum 5%. It can evolve over time. We have some other things that'll come forward in the next few days that you'll be able to see. Like you can actually play with this thing. It's got a bunch of metrics and stuff. They're dynamic. I'll say that. And then it has KPI vesting, right? So it's very similar to the Echo stuff in that it does have vesting, but it's KPI vesting where you can actually accelerate the unlock period based on certain metrics that we're looking at. Now, we don't have criteria out there. Again, there's 10,000 NFTs total across 80,000 whitelisted addresses. We did that because we tried to identify non-Sybiled allocations, like things that like very distinctly we know these people are people. So try to avoid botting by doing that, right? We try to isolate active users within the ecosystem. We don't anticipate all 80,000. That's why we had to oversubscribe it so heavily because 1, they won't see it. 2, they won't register their wallet. That'll cut down significantly. And then 3, it's not cheap. It's 1 ETH per because this is a significant investment. We want to get people skin in the game, right? A meaningful amount of money. So yeah, that's the basic framework. We're just trying to find a way to distribute this stuff in the best way we can.
Love it. Appreciate the breakdown. I think that's very, very helpful. I might actually group some of these questions into like the ones that I even found not particularly, ones that didn't demonstrate a great understanding of what you were doing. And so just in case there are other people with like, those types of questions, we'll knock those off. And then some actually deeper questions digging at the core of it. Some people were genuinely asking like, why is it so expensive? Like, why is it 1 ETH? Because I think in their heads, they've read NFT collection and then they read 10,000 supply. And it's like, well, that's a lot of money, right? But, just to speak to that briefly, what do you want to say?
Yeah, it's a mix up in vernacular, right? We're trying to be as explicit as possible with this because, right, we just talked about Bera NFTs. Bera NFTs have been on the market for literally years at this point, and they still don't know any level of like contribution to the network. CBB had to spend $10 million and has no idea what that's worth on the other side of that, right? And like you don't hear either, but we tried to be as honest as we could while staying within the rules of the law and all of the jurisdictions that actually matter, and saying, look, we're giving 10,000 NFTs, they will be 5% of the network, and they can grow. You know that up front, right? You guys can do your math. You can do whatever you think we're worth. You can do all the other stuff, but like that's the why the verbiage is a little tough because it is investor heavy, I will say, right? These verbiage is not normal in the ecosystem for an NFT, I would say.
Perfect. I might just help kind of go through a couple of these as well because in the interest of time, we've got 5 minutes left. There were some people genuinely asking like, look, this is basic. I mean, maybe coming to realize like, oh, it's a token sale. It's like, yes, it's a token sale. You're participating in participation in the network. Some people were saying this is a high FDV, and Lex, I think this is Gabriel Shapiro, came out with a tweet saying, you should not necessarily be so daft as to criticize this. This is like if, again, you can kind of run your numbers on this stuff. He in his opinion, he said this is like a $550 million valuation maximum. It can end up even lower if they decide to increase the 5% cap. VCs would be fiending at a $1 billion network valuation. And that's kind of in reference to the points you guys have made, which is, look, you could have raised more capital from VCs at higher valuations, but you're choosing to go through this route at this specific valuation and try to raise more from the community. And I think, some people just thought that was bad. I don't know. I personally didn't really understand that aspect because it was like.
We also pointed out that there's a bunch of L2s that are, under 500 million. It's like, I get it. Like it's all
the second thing I was going to say. How would you speak to that then, where people are looking around at other L2s and some of the more recent L2s, been like, you know what, these are not doing that great necessarily. So how would you kind of think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a personal decision, right? This is a non-obligatory thing. We're putting it out there with what we think is fair, with options to really allow people to dedicate themselves. Again, we do the KPI stuff. We're trying to make sure that it's as flexible as possible because, and we could have put this in the private markets and had 5 people cumulatively capture all of the value if there was upside, if you believe in what we're building, right? We have a bunch of information out there. I'm trying to get more out there on like the unique construction that we're bringing to the table. We think we're cutting it a little different, right? So we're trying to cut it different, not only on the technological side, right? Again, we have literally world-class brains building like in low latency distributed systems trying to do stuff. You got an engineering team of 20 people trying to like underneath those guys building this stuff out. It's not a cheap endeavor. It's not an easy endeavor. And we're kind of making an asymmetric like bet on ourselves that like, hey, we think we can do something here, but we're doing that also with where the funds are allocated to. We think they're the old days of raising and having genuine stake in the actual networks that you participate in, and garnering wealth effects within your ecosystem is hugely valuable for building community. So we're just trying our best to do that. A lot of people haven't done weird shit. We're trying to be weird.
I like it. Okay, so I think that's helpful. On the purely on the numerical side, like, look, guys, figure out your valuation of what you think it is, and then you can decide yourself if this is undervalued or not. Whether you think that's a lot of money is okay, that's fine, but in the end, that's a numerical decision. The more interesting technical thing, which, you know, I'm not the hyper technical person, but I think this is getting more kind of intriguing into what MegaETH are doing, was the two questions I saw in your comments. One around data layers using eigenlayer instead of ETH. That's like maybe one of the questions that people are saying, well, how is that going to work? Is that specifically valuable? Why are you doing that? And then how does Mega benefit ETH long term? And why? And would you just not go off on your own at some point? I guess some of the older, more experienced people are like,
yeah,
are you going to be benefiting ETH here, or is this like a different endeavor where you're basically becoming some type of L1?
Yeah, I had a lot of that stuff prop up over the weekend. So I actually wrote a thread on it, breaking down the whole eigenlayer, whatever thing. The first thing I'm going to attach.
By the way, L1s are more valuable as well, right? That's L1s appear to be more valuable.
They can be. So I'm actually of the opinion that's not going to be long for this world. If you think Solana is the thing that's valuable because of execution, and the L1s in a modular ecosystem are pushing off all their execution to L2s, I think there's a little bit of a mispricing there, frankly. If a chain is actually capturing a lot of execution, right, it's the place to do the cool, fun thing. I think we might have a little bit of a blurring of the lines, more so than we think. But anyways, L1, L2 thing, right? I think that's actually the most interesting thing. Everyone says L2, you get big enough, you become an L1. That's one of the reasons I joined this team, right? I wasn't originally on this team. I'm a tech dude. I saw the tech. I said, I want to join that team. And I did it because I saw a lot of the L2s that were basically building L1 infrastructure on top of the L2 or on top of the L1, which made it pretty close to being an L1 that they could actually go off and do. And like one, I was like, okay, they're slow because they're rebuilding the L1 on top of the L1, right? That's what Base is doing, right? The 200 TPS across 40 fucking rollups. And then I saw what MegaETH is doing, and MegaETH said, well, no, we're going to lean into being an L2 so hard that it literally, if we leave being an L2, if we go to be an L1, we remove our value prop, like the performance that we can hit, right? By about 80%. So like if our value prop is that we're doing crazy numbers and going to an L1 by way of being an L1, because you have to have consensus, you have to have a distributed node set, you have to have all this stuff, degrades our performance by 80%. We've eliminated our value prop by leaving, right? So then on top of our name being really weird, if we were to go be an L1, it's like it literally would destroy the thing that makes us valuable. Therefore, it's like, doesn't really make any sense in any regard. So that was another reason I joined. And then the whole EigenDA thing, that's literally just like Ethereum is not big enough to handle us. So we need to use EigenDA to post all of our data, because we're going to be emitting a shit ton of data. If we were to go to Ethereum, it literally wouldn't work. So we have to use EigenDA.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I think people are enjoying, you know, we're running out of time, so I'm not going to interrogate too much more on that. Just a couple of points from the comments and from myself. Justifano's enjoying the comments saying, forget MegaETH, got mega bread here going off. We've also got some other people saying, Overarch, bro, I would max bid this if whitelist for MM coming up. I don't know if that's possible. Chad Mongman's checked all of his wallets. None of his wallets qualify. So I guess the key question people are trying to figure out now, Brad, now that you've made this announcement, whether people are whitelisted or not at the moment, what are the ways that they can participate moving forward? What can you say? What can people expect?
So it's a combination of things. One, 80,000 addresses plus like other ways that they get whitelist. Not all this stuff made it in. I've run, like back in my previous life where I actually had to help run mints, like it's a lot of shit, right? And some stuff just gets missed. So like we have to go and make sure that all of the things that we intended to get in, got in, right? There's going to be subsets of people that say, what the hell, dude? Like, you know, we're in this group, but my thing isn't working. It's like the shit just fucked up, right? It's like, okay, we have to see if subsets didn't make it in. So we have 7 days until the mint. We try to build in that time so that we can review this stuff and make sure that the people, one, get in and register their addresses, because again, some of these are Solana wallets, some of these are GitHub, some of these are emails from events they attended, some of these are whatever. Like, we need those people to associate EVM addresses so that we can actually like have them mint, frankly. So there's that. And then there's making sure that the stuff that we did get on chain actually got on chain to be checked. So I would say just hold tight, stay aware. We're going to be having updates over the next week. It's an iterating thing.
Okay, there we go. Appreciate the breakdown. Appreciate the extra information. As you said, there'll be more information coming over the next week, and we will report it as we find out more. And this will probably be one of the best places to continue to find that information out. Just a reminder, guys, if you're new here, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern time for 1 hour live on X, YouTube, X Video, Apple, and Spotify podcast too. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to Legendary, Bread, and Dith for co-hosting with me, and shout out to Proof of Play, who are partnering with us. We'll be sharing some more information about what they are up to in the near future. Have a wonderful day. Take care, and we will see you back tomorrow. Bye-bye.